Hey everybody, this is Dr. Brooke Goldner from Goodbye Lupus, and I just wanted to come on today to briefly acknowledge the loss of a legend in this world, John Robbins. For those of you who don't know him, John Robbins uh, is the author of many books, including Diet for a New America, which is one that changed my life. And he passed away at 77 years old due to complications from polio, actually, that he had had as a child. And John is one of my heroes. In fact, he's one of the reasons that I'm alive today. So those of you who know my story know that it was the protocol that my husband originally developed that saved me from lupus. I'll be lupus-free 20 years in October. But the reason we were able to make the changes that saved me from lupus when I was 28 actually happened because of the changes I'd made at 12 because of John Robbins. So John Robbins' book was about the negative impact of factory farming of animals on human health, on suffering, on the planet, the animals. And because of that book, my entire family became vegetarian when I was 12. And even though I still was a sick vegetarian, I got lupus at 16, kidney failure, blood clots, arthritis, all of the things I suffered with for 12 years of my life. Because I was already vegetarian when I met Thomas and he put me on his protocol, the reason there was no meat in his protocol as usual was because I stopped eating meat because of John Robbins. So had I not already made that change, I wouldn't have accidentally become 100% plant-based vegan, and I wouldn't have accidentally healed myself of lupus. And if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be able to have perfected that protocol with my husband and saved thousands of people around the world from autoimmune diseases and other diseases like metabolic diseases. All of that came from the spark of the beginning there that I attribute to John. And I know I'm not the only one. Him and his son, Ocean Robbins, have created this Food Revolution Network. They've reached people all over the world trying to spread the message of better health for humans, for the planet, animals, all of those things. They're an amazing family. And it's an incredible loss. And for those of you who are wondering, well, if he was so healthy, why would he pass at 77? I actually had to do some research on this because as a physician, we weren't trained in polio when I was in training because it had already disappeared because of vaccines by the time I was in medical school. So we didn't see polio. And John had had it as a child, survived it, but was disabled by it. He had that polio limp. He was disabled by it. But through becoming plant-based and yoga and exercise, he actually recovered and went from limping to running, hiking, and nobody would have known he'd ever been sick. Now, what I learned was that people with polio often who survived it as a kid would get sick again in their 20s and 30s from a resurgence and then would pass away then. He did get a resurgence, but in his late 70s. So he actually is a miracle. The fact that he lived so long and he was free of disability for so long was all something you can attribute to his lifestyle. But he is really a remarkable person in how much he has used the life he has had to change the world and to make the world better. Something that I aspire to do every day of my life. The fact that I'm still alive today at 48 when they told me I was dying at 16, that's something that I want to give back, and I work to give back every day. And one of the most remarkable things that happened to me was when I got a call from John Robbins years ago asking me to be on his podcast. And I couldn't believe he even knew who I was because he was one of my childhood heroes. And when I got on the podcast with him, he told me that he'd read all my books and that he had a quote of mine on his desk because he thought it was so inspiring. And to hear from my own hero that I was one of his, I was in tears. I hope all of you have that experience. It was an incredible moment for me. And so we've actually done many interviews together, and he's always had me back, and he's so great at that. He's had so many of these, the people that inspire him, he would bring them to his audience. And I know his son Ocean is going to continue to do that. They're a beautiful, remarkable family. And if you haven't read John Robbins' books, I recommend you do so. He's an incredible voice for peace, for love, for health. And I know that voice continues on and will continue on. John, you have made a difference in my life and in the life of so many others. And I know that even though you're no longer here physically, you will continue to be a presence in this world and all of us whose lives that you've affected. And and a legend like John, that's something that lives on forever. So my love to the whole Robbins family, and to all of you who are sad for the loss. He's a great man, and I'm glad to have known him in any way at all. So I will be back soon sharing more great information on health and healing and recovery. But I also just wanted to pass on my thoughts and my message about John Robbins. Great, great man who will be missed.